Welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission, as always, is to dig into the sources, pull out the key insights, and bring them straight to you. And today, wow, we're getting into something really fundamental. How your brain actually constructs, well, your reality, how perception happens.
That's right. And we're grounding this in a really influential paper. It's by B Barlow, published back in 1972.
1972, okay.
Yeah, it's called Single Units and Sensation, a Neuron Doctrine for Perceptual Psychology. And it really did change the game for thinking about neurons and how we perceive things.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Because before Barlow, the view of individual neurons, these tiny cells in the brain, was quite different, wasn't it? They were seen as kind of unreliable.
Exactly. Noisy, almost. The thinking was more about, the collective activity of large groups of cells, mass action.
Right.
But Barlow said, no, wait. To really get how the nervous system works, you need to look at the cellular level. These single units, these individual neurons, he argued, are actually remarkably reliable. They can do specific, complex jobs.
That's a huge shift.
Yeah.
So not just noise, but potentially carrying real information.
Precisely.
And here's where it gets really interesting for you, the listener. This idea leads to a really core principle.
Yeah.
The sensory system is set up to be incredibly, well, economical.
Yes, that's key. Think about the flood of information hitting your senses constantly. It's overwhelming.
Totally.
But Barlow showed that as this information gets processed, moving to higher levels in the brain, something clever happens. Fewer neurons are actually active.
And fewer, so less activity.
Fewer neurons overall, but the ones that are active represent something much more specific, much more complex. It's like shifting from individual letters to whole words or even sentences. Highly efficient.
Ah, I see. So instead of this massive chorus, it's like a few key voices, each saying something really meaningful.
Exactly. And we have great examples. Think about the bug detectors in a frog's retina Barlow worked on earlier, back in '53.
Right, I remember hearing about those.
They fire specifically for like a small, dark, moving spot. That's it. Or Hubel and Weisel's Nobel Prize-winning work in '59.
Oh, yeah, the visual cortex stuff.
They found neurons that only fire for lines or edges at very specific angles. Not just any line, a specific orientation.
Wow.
And Gross and his colleagues, also in '72, found neurons in macaque monkeys that responded best to the shape of a monkey's hand, a whole complex object.
Wow. To the hand neuron. That's incredibly specific.
It is. And Barlow ties this directly to our subjective experience. His fifth dogma basically suggests the rate at which these specific neurons fire that codes how certain we feel.
So if that hand neuron is firing like crazy?
Your brain is pretty much saying, yep, highly confident there's a hand out there. It's your subjective certainty.
Okay, but how do neurons get so specific? Is it all just genetics?
That's another crucial point Barlow made. It's not all genetics. Experience plays a huge role. He said these trigger features are significantly matched to recurring patterns in what we experience, especially during key developmental windows.
Right, like learning shapes our perception.
Absolutely. There's that classic research, Hirsch and Spinelli and Blakemore and Cooper.
The kitten experiments.
Yeah, the ones raised seeing only vertical stripes. Their brains developed very few neurons that responded to horizontal lines.
So their visual world literally shaped their visual brain.
Exactly. It suggests your brain is actively building its own dictionary, based on what it encounters consistently. It learns what's meaningful in your environment.
Okay, so bringing this back to you, the listener, what does this mean for your actual moment-to-moment perception?
Well, Barlow's argument was pretty direct. The activity of these highly specific high-level neurons is what causes the elements of your perception. Their firing is the perception, in a way.
But hang on, that sounds a bit like the old, slightly spooky idea of a grandmother cell, right? One single cell for every single thing we perceive.
Right, he was careful to address that. It's not about one single pontifical cell for grandma or your coffee cup. That's too simple and too fragile. And it's also not mass action, where the whole brain just sort of mushes together. He proposed something more like a college of cardinal cells.
A college, like a committee.
Sort of, yeah. A select group, a small number of these highly specific cardinal neurons firing together. Each makes precise statement, and their combined activity creates the rich, complex, overlapping perceptions we experience.
And it makes more sense. It allows for complexity. Now, what about resilience? If it's just a few cells, Isn't the system fragile?
That's a great point. The model actually handles that quite elegantly. He suggested a limited amount of redundancy, maybe say 6 or so neurons representing similar critical features.
Ah, okay. So not massive redundancy, which would be inefficient.
Right, but just enough replication of these key percept neurons to give the brain significant robustness against damage. It's a really efficient design.
Beautiful, actually.
Yeah. Ultimately, Barlow's work really caused a revolution in outlook. Single neurons weren't just passive relays anymore. They became the prime movers, the carriers of meaning in our mental life.
So a final thought for you to take away. If our perception, how we sense the world, is built on these precise economical neural words, how might our actions, how we move, be represented? Could it be a similar system?
An economical, adaptable way.
Yeah, and how might those sensory models and these potential motor models interact inside our heads, helping us figure out and navigate the world? Something to chew on.